Hi guys, I'm Matt and welcome to the Tartan Tech Guy YouTube channel. For this video I want to take a look at Sphero's BB-8 Droid from the new Star Wars film. We've got one here, so let's crack it open and we'll take a look. Okay, now I am very aware that there are loads of BB-8 videos out there and sometimes they focus an awful lot just on the box. Now I'm not that interested in the box, I'm more interested in the products inside, so let's take a look and get this thing opened up. Now one cool thing about the packaging while it's opening is that it does have this kind of slow reveal, just like when you open up an iPhone. It does give it a premium feel as soon as you open the product, but let's have a look and see what's inside. So first up we have got the wireless charging station, which BB-8 sits on to get its power. Then we also have the droid itself. So we've got the main body when we get out of the box there, and we have got its head, which connects to the body via a magnet. Now, also in the box, you do get some other pamphlets and legal information, but you do also get a micro USB charging cable as well. Okay, so packaging out of the way, let's have a look at BB-8 himself. Now, he seems to be pretty robust and very well made. He's got this kind of shiny finish, which is nice. And like I said before, his head attaches and detaches with a magnet. So nice and easy to put back on if it falls off. The wireless charging base, it charges through micro USB on the back there, so you could either plug it into a laptop or into a wall unit. Once it's connected to the power source, when you want to charge BB-8, all you need to do is place him on the wireless charging unit and away you go. Now, some lights on the front to look out for. When you place BB-8 onto the charging unit, these lights on the front will flash in a blue colour to indicate that he is charging. Now, for me, one slight downside is the charge time. So it's around about a 3-hour charge time to get 1 hour of playtime. So it's not the best. I guess we just have to live with that, but maybe it's something that could have been made a little bit better. But there we go, there's the base and the droid. Okay, so let's have a look at how we can get this guy to actually work. Now, while he's charging for the first time, it's probably a good idea to download the BB-8 app. So the app is available for both iOS and for Android. I've tried it out on iPads, Android smartphones, Android tablets and iPhone. In this case, we're going to use it on a Sony Xperia Z3 Compact, so we're on Android. It is themed up in Star Wars fashion, so if you're interested in how I've done that, then maybe leave a comment below and perhaps I could make a video on how I've done that to my phone. But it looks pretty cool. So the app, like I say, is a free download, so Play Store for Android, App Store for iOS devices. Let's have a look at the app. Now, when we open the app up the very first time, you kind of get greeted with some pretty cool Star Wars animations and theme tunes, so let's hear it. Once the app is started up, it's going to ask us to hold our device next to BB-8 in order for it to establish a connection. And once that connection is being made, we'll then be presented with the main menu, as you can see here. Now that BB-8 is connected, let's have a look at the first option in the main menu, which is Drive. So let's open that up and see what options we've got. Once we're in, we are presented essentially with a control pad or a joystick sort of setup, where we've got up, down, left and right. And on the other side, we've got this kind of calibration tool, which essentially lets BB-8 know which way he's facing. Now, the idea behind it is that we move our thumb or finger left and right across the calibration tool and look for the blue light inside the BB-8 droid itself. So there we go, we've got the blue light. And that blue light needs to be facing you. When the blue light is facing you, BB-8 knows that forward is forward, back is back, and left and right, and so on. Now, one quite cool feature is that if you prefer having the joypad on the other side of the screen, you can actually just flip the phone around like this, and the joypad will move across. Now, I prefer having it on the original side, so I'll flip it back. So now that BB-8 is calibrated, we can move him forward with the joystick, and we can bring him back as well. I'm not going to go too crazy right now because I'm on a tabletop, and I don't really want him to fall off, but we will move him down onto the floor in just a moment so that we can play around with him properly. One other cool thing you can do as well, if you hit this button on the right, you can actually tell BB-8 to do a certain set of commands. We can make him say yes, or we can make him say no. Now, there's a few pages of commands here, so we can flick across, and the app's actually just been updated, so there's some brand new ones in there as well. And these things really just help to give BB-8 that little bit extra bit of personality. So we can tap this option, which is anger. Oh, he's gone off the screen, let's bring him back. Maybe a little bit too angry there. Then we've got this one, which is meant to make him act as if he's frustrated. And then we've also got joy as well, which makes him do a little bit of a dance, which is pretty nice. So all extra nice features. We've got a few others there as well. So if we flick back a page on that option as well, there is a couple of others. So we've got things like figure of 8, drive around in a square. Now these definitely require BB-8 to be on the floor or in a bigger space and not on a tabletop. So let's get him down onto the floor and we can try him out properly. So now we have got BB-8 in a slightly larger space down on the floor, so we can try out some of those features that we mentioned a moment ago. So first things first, as we did on the tabletop, we need to get BB-8 calibrated. So there is the blue light facing us, which means that he knows that forward is forward and back is back. Okay, so let's try it. Now we mentioned a moment ago that we could try out the figure of 8 option. So let's go ahead and make BB-8 do a figure of 8. So he goes round. It's quite nice. Obviously we can drive BB-8 ourselves, but it's quite cool to be able to just press the button and get him to do these cool maneuvers. And there he is back looking at us. Besides the preset options in drive mode, of course the most fun thing to do is just to drive BB-8 yourself. Now he is pretty fast and he's also quite maneuverable. One thing that does happen sometimes is when you bash into things, his head can fall off, but it's nice and easy to put back on with the magnet. Now drive mode for me is probably the most fun thing to do and I think will be the most popular feature with users. Now I've seen some reviews that say BB-8 doesn't always perform so well on carpet. There is a speed override option which by default is turned down quite low, but for carpet it's best to have it turned up full, and if you want to you could turn it down lower for harder surfaces. One other thing to mention in drive mode is the boost button. This means that if BB-8 did get stuck on carpet, or if you just want to go a little bit faster, you can tap this button for an extra burst of speed. So now that we have finished up with drive mode, let's have a scroll through the main menu and we will now choose patrol. So when you choose the patrol mode, it essentially allows BB-8 to go roaming around the room on his own. He'll bash into things, he'll find his own way around, and it's quite a neat little feature in the app. So this is the interface that you'll be presented with when you start patrol. All you need to do is press play and off he goes. There's different sections here. You can tap on each of the sections to make them do different things. You'll see a red icon if he bashes into things. There's sort of like a little map of where he's been. You can see how many feet that he's travelled on his patrol session as well, which is all quite cool. So let's have a look at BB-8 while he's in patrol mode. Now, whilst this is quite a neat feature, there is a couple of downsides in my opinion. One is that you have to have the app open at all times for him to patrol. As soon as you close the app, it'll disconnect and BB-8 will stop moving. The other is that quite often he just goes off, bumps into things, his head falls off, and then he's no longer patrolling. So in my opinion, the drive mode is much more fun than this, but it's still quite a cool feature to have in the app. So the next feature to look at in the main menu is message. The idea behind message is to allow BB-8 to show holograms, kind of like he does in the film, but instead of coming from his head, it actually comes through the camera viewfinder and then makes it look like it's coming from BB-8's head. So there's a few preset options in the app, or you can record your own message as well. For the purposes of this video, let's have a look at the X-Wing fighter and C-3PO. I've seen a couple of other reviewers who have struggled to get this feature to work properly. Now, whilst I did have a little bit of difficulty, the trick seems to be that you need to make sure your device is far enough away from BB-8 to make sure that the projection is in the right place. Now, this probably isn't really a feature that I think I would use very much, but I suppose for maybe for kids or something like that, they might find this quite fun, especially if they can record their own messages.
This is a calamity. I have never needed your assistance more than at this moment.
So the last thing to look at in the main menu, if we scroll right down to the bottom, is settings. So let's go ahead into the settings and see what options we have. So the first thing that appears at the top is user interface sounds. So if we turn that off, it stops the app itself from making any noises. Then we've got droid sounds. Now the interesting thing to note here is that all the sounds from BB-8 come from the device, not from BB-8 himself. Now for me that's a little bit disappointing. I really would have rather that the noises came from BB-8 rather than from the app, just to make it that little bit more authentic. But it is what it is, and I guess we can't change it, so all the noises come from your device. So definitely something worth noting. The next thing is use metric units, which I guess will change when you're using patrol mode from feet perhaps to meters, but yeah, if you want to use that one you can. And the last option is voice recognition, which I'll be honest, I really haven't found to be that great or particularly useful. But let's have a look. We'll tap in the speech bubble and we'll give some examples of what you can say to BB-8 if you want to. So you can get his attention by saying, "Okay, BB-8," or "Come in, BB-8," and then you can give him lots of other commands. He reacts to those commands very similar to those preset options that we looked at in drive mode. So we've got things you can make him explore, give him different alerts, and so on and so forth. But like I say, I haven't found it particularly useful, but it is there if you want to try it. So overall, I think that the Star Wars BB-8 Droid from Sphero is a fantastic toy, particularly if you're a Star Wars fan. Or if you've got kids, then it's going to bring a lot of hours of entertainment. It's $129.99 in here in the UK. A lot of people have said to me, is it really worth the price tag? Well, I think to the right person, yes it is. If you consider all the work that's gone into the device itself and the app, then you can see why it commands a price tag that it does. Obviously the product isn't without its faults, as I've mentioned a couple of times throughout this video, but in general it really is a very high quality product, and you can see that a lot of time and effort has gone into the app that comes along with it. I think if you're a Star Wars fan, regardless of functionality and usability, it's actually just a really cool collectible item as well. And if you're not so much into Star Wars, then it is actually a really great gadget as well, and it's a lot of fun. So that is the Star Wars BB-8 Droid from Sphero. If you enjoyed the video, then please make sure you hit the like button below. And at the same time, if you have any questions about the droid, then stick them in the comments section and I'll get back to you as quick as I can. I'm going to have some more great videos coming soon, so please look out for those. But for now, take care and goodbye.